Welcome everybody to Listening to the Wind, a weekly interview series from IWSA. And I'm very pleased today to be welcoming the CEO of Anemoi Marine Technologies, Kim, I'm going to have to get your name right here, Kim Diederichsen.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Very good.
Okay, great. Now, Kim joined Anemoi Marine Technology, CEO, back in November 2019, which seems like a long time ago. He has a proven track record of successfully commercializing businesses in the marine, oil and gas fields. He's also a certified master mariner and went on to be a chief officer of various tanker companies. So I think we're in very safe hands. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much, Gavin. Thanks a lot. Highly appreciate it.
And I'm really looking forward to this presentation. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you and I'll see you on the other side.
Thanks a lot, Gavin. Thanks a lot. The following presentation is an introduction to Anemoi and our most recent developments. So let's have a look. Anemoi is a UK-based technology provider of Rotor Sail in the UK, in London, with a training and test facility in Newcastle. We have a branch office down in Athens, and we are currently setting up production and supply chain in China. This in order to serve demand and the market going forward. Looking at the timeline, back in 2007, the first R&D activities were kicked off, including scale model tests and wind tunnel testing. The training and test facility was established back in 2013, and we conducted a number of vessel installations throughout 17 and 18. Most recently, we've entered into a collaboration agreement with Wärtsilä, now commercializing our business. And today we are setting up production and ready to serve the market with Rotor Sail solutions as of later 2021 with delivery in 22. Rotor sails are extremely efficient mechanical sails that deliver auxiliary propulsion to ships, reducing fuel consumption and harmful emissions by up to 5 to 30%, subject to configuration and factors. Rotor sails are considered safe and robust, and the technology readiness level is very high. If I should mention another benefit of the rotor sails would be that they are considered movable assets, so that it can easily be deployed between different ships if and when used. Anemoi is currently introducing a new scalable rotor design with variable height options. In order to better serve market demand, we are now launching a product range consisting of rotor sails spanning from 3 meters in diameter all the way up to 5 meters in diameter with aspect ratios of 6 and 7. Optional features include the folding system, which can be used for any ship type, and the rail deployment options, which are unique and very often seen for the bulk carriers. On top of that, existing EX rating, options for tankers and gas tankers and for gas tankers and gas tankers and gas carriers are also available. What we see as of today is that the market demand for rotor sails are increasing, and especially the larger size rotor sails. Consequently, the 4 meter and the 5 meter options are very often seen and proposed in vessel segments and tankers, medium to large size. I would like to show you a couple of examples of system configurations and deployments options to demonstrate the possible installation configurations and performance benefits of rotor sails. In this case, a VLCC here fitted with 6 rotor sails, fixed deployment, rotor size 5 by 35 meters, and assuming a 330 days sailing, an average saving using the IMO global trade route would be in the range of 8.7 tons of fuel per day. Over the year, more than 9,200 tons of CO2 could be saved in this configuration. Another configuration could be a large bulk carrier. Here, the VLOC, fitted with 6 rotor sails. Deployment folding is added to the solution, 5 by 30 meters. Again, when assuming 330-day sailing, such savings on fuel could summarize up to close to 6 tons per day, and with emissions reductions of close to 6,200 tons per year. Least here, the Kamsarmax scenario, 4 rotor sails, rail deployment installed, 3.5 meters by 24. It's a fixed rail deployment, which we are showing here. Again, we are upsailing 270 days a year, and we see that we can receive savings of close to 4.5 tons per day and 2,000 tons of CO2 per year. It should be mentioned that the rail deployment system, which is shown here, a transverse system, could also be a longitudinal rail deployment system subject to vessel layout and configuration. An example of this installed in real life is the MV Afros. The MV Afros was fitted back in 2008 with 4 rotor sails on a longitudinal rail deployment system. She has now done more than 600 days at sea, visited more than 50 ports, and we have had an uptime of more than 99% operational availability. It is a showcase for us and the industry and our clients to see this successful pilot installation. I would like to conclude that this vessel has had zero port delays throughout the past 3 years of operations. So, looking forward, Anemoi is experiencing increasing demand for rotor sails. A number of factors have led to this increasing demand, and we expect this to continue towards 2030 and beyond. Anemoi is actively breaking down the technical barriers for implementation through partnerships and industry collaboration. This includes, amongst others, the development of joint development projects, the wind-ready concept, scaling up supply and production, and entering into collaboration agreements. Addressing the first one, we believe that collaboration drives confidence. Therefore, Anemoi has entered into JDP collaboration partnerships to develop off-the-shelf rotor sail vessel designs for 6 different vessel types, bringing together ship designer, technology provider, class, and owner for the first time. The JDP outcome includes, amongst others, outline specifications and design drawings for rotor sail installation on selected vessel types, assurance that rule and regulatory compliance are met with the issue of an approval in principle certificate by LR class. We thereby raise industry awareness to promote new designs, developments, and innovativeness across the maritime industry, and also support ongoing work with LR in their rule development for rotor sails and the wind class ready notation. We expect to release first results later this year, Q3, of this collaboration work. Wind ready is another approach for a cost-effective way to future-proof vessels by installation of rotor sails. Rotor sail installation will become a plug-and-play approach that can easily be aligned with vessel docking and EEXI phases. As rotor sails are a movable asset, having multiple wind-ready vessels means that rotor sails can be transferred to another wind-ready vessel, and thereby securing the investment make for the life of the asset. A case study of a wind-ready vessel is the MV Axios. And here it's a 2017 built Kamsarmax bulk carrier. Here the owner wished to make the vessel wind-ready by installing 4 transverse rail deployment systems during her upgrade. The vessel is now ready to receive up to 8 rotor sails at any given time. The Axis is the world's first wind-ready vessel and ready to be fitted with rotor sails, meeting future EEXI phase 3 requirements as of 2025. Scaling up production and meeting demand. Looking back, Anemoi was conducting projects out of the UK with project delivery, production mixed between UK and China, 20% and correspondingly 18%. But going forward, that has changed, and that will change. Today, we will execute projects headed out of UK, and then we will conduct China operations and supply chain with 100%. This in order to ensure on-time delivery, that installations and regulatory requirements are met at a cost-effective way, and thereby reducing unnecessary transportation, and also to make sure that quality assurance requirements are met. So Anemoi is setting up production and supply chain in China going forward, and thereby meeting market demand. The Anemoi Test Center, which before mentioned was introduced back in 2013, will continue to play a big role in our forward-going R&D roadmap. We will continue to expand our activities in order to optimize system performance, but we will also transform it into an academy center, and thereby being able to train internal people, but also external. Bring our clients to site, witness, feel, touch the rotor sails, and make them comfortable with the technology on site. So we can only say having the technology center close to us is a very good thing for Anemoi and the team as such. At the end, some of you have maybe heard that Anemoi has entered into a collaboration license and collaboration agreement with Wärtsilä for installing rotor sails on any suitable vessels applicable for both new build and retrofit. Anemoi is collaborating with Wärtsilä to strengthen our offering and facilitate the global uptake of our rotor sails by offering clients a true and real end-to-end solution, including sales, supply, lifecycle support. So the offering, offered by Wärtsilä, the rotor sails will be integrated into their existing energy-saving technology packages, and thereby become one of multiple fuel-saving devices being offered to the clients going forward. Needless to say, there are a lot of benefits by entering into such collaboration agreement, as one can imagine, for Wärtsilä, but also for Wärtsilä, for us, Anemoi, and of course also for our clients. So we look very much forward to kicking this off, and we expect to see the first outcome of that collaboration later this year. I think, Gavin, that was the introduction into Anemoi and our most recent developments. So back to you.
Thank you very much, Kim. That was a really, really excellent presentation. Thank you. And you know, the key word that just kept on coming up here was stakeholders, collaboration, that kind of approach. And you know, it seems that you've developed quite a robust pathway forward for both the company and also for your customers. My question there is, you know, how long did that actually take to establish? I know a lot of people watching this will be developing their own concepts, etc. And you know, obviously this is a very good way of moving forward. But how long did this actually take to establish?
This one from the most recent development with Wärtsilä?
Yeah, for example, yeah.
For example, if we start there, I think we came to a conclusion, the parties among us, in early 2020, that we would assess the opportunities of working together here. So throughout the period since summer 2020 until Christmas Eve, we spent time elaborating and checking what is possible, etc. And it was quite easy for both parties because we thought that the synergies were so obvious. Same with Wärtsilä. They were looking for implementing wind technology into their portfolio of energy-saving devices. And here, Anemoi, having spent more than 10 years in R&D, made a strategic decision to commercialize the business back in early 2019, it looked like a good opportunity to join forces.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I believe that, and looking at Anemoi, a relatively small company, despite of our background from the shipping group and everything we do, but for rolling out a technology like the rotor sails, big scale, and that is really what we're aiming to do. We thought from a strategic point of view that entering into a license and collaboration agreement would be the way to go.
And I think that adds certainty as well into the market. You know, that I know that I'm going to be able to get my service package, my maintenance package, whatever it may be, pretty much worldwide, even though it's a system delivered by a relatively small company.
Yeah, you're spot on. And the way it's going to work is actually that Anemoi will, in parallel to Wärtsilä, offer the technology. We will share supply chain, and we will tap into each other's companies so we can make use and access to the network of Wärtsilä and vice versa, and thereby help each other. So it is a true collaboration that we're doing. And I think an important thing is as well that we are able to serve the market demand. We are seeing increased market demand, and in order for us to do so, that collaboration help that work. So
absolutely. And I think, you know, another big thing, and this is something that I look at, you know, often in the projects that we have within the International Windship Association, you know, the idea of things that are modular, things that have that ability to be flexible. And you were talking about the wind-ready concept.
Yes.
You know, this is something we saw in LNG with the LNG-ready vessel. But having a wind-ready vessel, that's something that's a little new to the market, of course. But why would, if I was a ship owner, why would I be going for wind-ready rather than the straight away with my wind installation? Could you unpack that a little bit?
I think, yes, of course. I mean, I think we have to look at this there's different ways to look at it. See, with the new regulations coming online here in 2023, 25, EEXI for existing ships, etc., we see that vessel owners are assessing the opportunities to increase vessel performance. The dry docking schedules may already have been planned or scheduled. However, the availability of wind technologies meeting the dry docking schedules do not necessarily match. So in order for vessel owners to use the opportunity for an upcoming dry docking to prepare the vessel for later rotor installation, in our case, that supports the case of wind ready. So we are not losing valuable time going forward. So we use the opportunity to use that docking period to install the deck with everything that goes, you know, conduct installation preparation, steel work, cable work, etc., and prepare, and then for installing the rotors later. Because the rotors, the way we produce them, is that they will come to the yard and dock site as a plug and play. So they are fully finished, factory acceptance tested once they leave our production line. So it is a plug and play. It is a crane lift to lift them on. So that is why the wind-ready concept is an option for vessel owners to go forward.
So we're looking at hours of installation rather than weeks of installation.
Because 95, I don't know, or 98% of all the job is tied to the integration and preparation of the vessel. It's not lifting out, spinning up the rotors, doing the balancing and the commissioning. That's not what takes time. It's everything else. And
you touched on the point that, you know, pretty much these rotors are modular. I mean, you could move a set of rotors from one vessel to another. Yes. Obviously, with a little bit of you know, it's going to take a little bit of time to do, but it's pretty much a movable asset. Oh yeah, it's a movable asset that opens, of course, up to a number of things, and when we can address some of them. But a number of things is that the assets should, for whatever reason, the owner or the vessel operator choose to sell the vessel or hand it on to a next party, not
wanting the rotor sails to be installed. The sunk cost for the rotor sails installation previously will only be tied to the integration work being done, but the majority part of it, the valuable part of it, the rotor sails themselves, can be moved to any other type of vessel. You could then also say that if you can do so, I mean, that opens up a whole new world of finance and options and lease options and then potential pay-as-you-go options, etc. Because you simply have an a product that's not tied and fixed to the vessel as other technologies or other solutions that we often see in ships, that they are permanently installed in the ship, not being able to take out. Here we have something that can be moved around if that's what you wish to do. So it opens up new opportunities.
Yeah, and I think that business model development. I mean, we've heard some of this in previous interviews about leasing of systems. I think that actually we've seen that with things like the solar panel uptake, even the motor car, if you like. When the leasing or when financing was available for a movable asset, suddenly it unlocked the market for it, which I think is really important and really interesting area.
Completely agree. And we are, just to let you know, we are being approached by financial institutions offering such solutions, wanting to working with us. And needless to say, we're very open to assess such things, and I'm very sure we will put such opportunities forward to our clients as well. But Anemoi is and will stay. We are system provider. We are solution provider. We're not a bank. So we will use our partnerships going forward in that regard.
Sure. No, that's completely understandable. And I'd just like to say one other thing about your slides. I was very pleased to hear about the academy development. I think that's a really critical thing to really engage with one group of stakeholders who are imperative to the success of this, which are the ship designers and also the seafarers themselves. They can actually get experience on land with a system that's going to be on their ships in the future.
Yeah, and actually what we do here, I mean, looking at Anemoi, we're scaling up, and we're hiring people here in the UK at different locations, of course in China, where we're setting up production and supply chain, etc., etc. And coming from the marine business, real life experience, and seeing and believing and touching, this is what we know and this is what we're doing. So we use, in addition to promote it to the clients of ours, also for internal training of the young engineers coming to us, so they can get a first-hand experience of that, so they can take part on all that R&D work and day-to-day operations, etc., etc. And we can't forget that the system up in Blyth near Newcastle has now been running since 2013, so it's close to 8 years now. It has a folding deployment system installed. It's quite interesting to monitor the development which is now happening in the market as these solutions are now being put forward. So I mean, we were just a little bit ahead of time. So we've seen this, we saw this coming. So we have a very good database and experience obtained through all that operations, through all the years, and we are pleased to pass this on, because all the information that we have from our first installations on the AFROS and the Axios and from test site, what we do, we share this with owners, managers, stake and shareholders, of course. So what we do is that all that knowledge, all that experience, we use in the forward going of the company of Anemoi towards the industry.
Yeah, and that's where I'd like to sort of expand the sort of discussion a little bit to that sort of wider industry aspect. And you know, what we're seeing now is we've got a limited number of demonstration vessels out there. It's growing, but still, you know, they're over. I think we came into over 11 or 12 installations now, including the WID Ready. So we're starting to create a body of demonstrator vessels out there with different technologies and different aspects, etc. Also, a lot of these conversations that you're talking about is there's a lot of knowledge that's growing in the industry. It's still a lot more needs to be done. But my question is, what are the main barriers that we're still facing here? Or, you know, Anemoi, but also wind propulsion as a sector. Where do you see maybe the top 3 barriers being for moving forward and scaling up?
Yeah, good question. And if I should mention a few, and few that pops to my head right away, they would be tied to performance validation, port operations, and the ROI, the return on investment element. So if we could address one of them, see, today, what we see is that if we take the port operations, that the technology, as you say, you're completely right, there are not many demonstrator vessels out there. So the experience obtained within the industry, despite that the technology has a very high TRL level, is very limited. Consequently, what we are doing, we support our clients with feedback from our operations, and that is very much tied to port operations. Because once the vessel is out sailing, the technology is relatively simple, let's put it here this way, and what is doing is, of course, creating thrust, but it's everything related to port operations, cargo handling, day-to-day operations, the maintenance, etc. That's really the critical issues. So what we're doing in order to break down these barriers, and as part of the JDP projects that I shortly introduced, that we're kicking off in collaboration, you saw it with Starry, with Lloyd's, on one hand for 6 vessel types, etc. As part of that work with selected vessel owners, we're also conducting port assessment. And I could share with the audience here that we have assessed together with our partners, with the partnership, more than 100 ports, as one example, for the Newcastle Max vessel. So consequently, we look at the system configuration proposed for the vessel. We look at the deployment options, folding or rail, transverse or longitudinal, find the right optimum, etc., and then jointly with all the input we have from the owners and charterers, we conduct a full port assessment, because it is so important that the technology that goes on board will not create any uncertainties, delays, and many other things. So breaking down the barrier for port operations, we consider this a key issue.
And it's kind of coming back to that whole collaboration, multi-stakeholder approach, where you're not just looking at it as a bolt-on wind propulsion system, you're looking at it as a full solution throughout the commercial chain.
And this is what we've tried to do exactly by establishing the JDP collaborations here with our partners. We put a lot of energy into it, a lot of efforts are put into it, but we are sure that the outcome is to the benefit of all of us. So this is one thing. And then, of course, you could say that a barrier to the whole thing, just to touch base on another one, just before we move on, is the ROI thing. We don't see a change currently here. You're right. I've just been here in the company 1.5 years, so I don't have a long track record in wind. Unfortunately, I wish I had. But I've seen the change also since the time I've come here. So when we started, it was only a question of what is the ROI? What is the rate of return of my investment? How quick can I get back? And I think we all know the magic numbers, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever they're looking at, right? And they are driven, of course, by hardware costs, by integration costs, by installation costs. And the ROI is driven by system performance and the vessel trade, where's the vessel trading and on which route, etc., etc. And of course, it's also the fuel price, etc., etc. However, this, as we see, have changed within the last 6 to 12 months. So as of today, what we're doing is that we are actively working and assessing the economy of scale for our business, and that is the reason why we do as we do. We move production to China, we execute from Europe, we bring the products close to the market. We also see that the cost the future carbon taxes now being implemented, the emission trading schemes, and the implementation of the EEXI and EEDI regulatory requirements has helped vessel owners and operators deviating away, not only looking at the ROI, but looking at a wider perspective. So I think there's a lot of change. The mechanisms here are changing. So it is to the advantage of wind propulsion, not only rotor sails, but in general wind propulsion as of such. I definitely see.
Yeah, so, no, absolutely. And I from the experience that I'm seeing and from the ship owners I'm talking about, there are multiple drivers coming into the market now. We've got the drivers for the for the banks as well, with the Poseidon principles and all of these things. I think they're certainly, they may not be making the decisions and putting necessarily the money on the table right now, but their assessments of what they're going to need to invest in.
I won't say that, Gavin. So what we experience right now.
So you're a richer man than me, so it's drinks on you.
Yeah, the way I can express and what I can say is there's an increasing demand in the market, and as of now, what we are focusing at right now in Anemoi, our core segment, which is larger size bulkers and tankers, etc., etc. And there is an increasing demand in market, and the type of clients and vessel owners that we are talking with, they are assessing the technology for piloting it out for prior fleet installation. It's again and again and again, it's the same that we see each and every time. There's focus on maximum performance of the rotor sails. So as compared to the configuration of the units. So that means larger size rotors, large size number of rotors installed in order to get up in the double-digit savings.
No,
This is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I'm more than happy to be corrected when it comes to market forces and the market increasing. My final comment on that is: do you think we're moving faster? Do you think the market is moving faster? I mean, 2023 continually pops up in every discussion that I have, pretty much on the rollout of everything. Are we going to be seeing the fleet decision? So at the moment, we've got the pilot decisions, the individual demonstrator vessels, etc. Are we going to start seeing the fleet decisions for installations? The tens, the hundreds of installations. Will they be made in that sort of 2023 to 2025 period?
Yes, I do think so. I can answer this way. Yes, I do think so. Again, I can only look from our own perspective, because what we are doing right now with a wide number of different owners is assessing within our core segment that we have presented, or that I've presented here to you. We are looking at optimized installations and opportunities within the larger bulk and tanker segments. And yes, all projects that we're looking at is tied to piloting followed by fleet. So yes, I think timing is right. We can also see the way that owners are scaling up and working actively with us, looking forward into dry docking schedules, making sure. Look, and right now I'm just talking about the retrofit, because it is retrofit that's driving the uptake of the technology. But I assume we agree here, because it is a window of opportunity. I don't know what, over 5-10 years, so that is a huge opportunity, and then later, of course, shifting into new build. But it's definitely driven by a wish to retrofit vessels. So yes, I'm quite hopeful that this is going to happen. And this, by the way, this is one of the reasons why we're scaling up as we do. So we're doubling size of our company this year, and we're really investing in that opportunity.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like. You can come back and talk to us a bit more about that. I know, that's great. I'm going to move now into some quick fire Q&As, because we've already, I mean, we could talk about this stuff, I think, all day. And it's fascinating, and we will continue having these discussions. But I'd like to hit some very, very quick questions. So these are 1-minute answers, okay? And we'll try and get 5 or 6 going there. Number one, how did you get into wind propulsion yourself? You joined in November 2019. What attracted you?
Anemoi was actually looking for a CEO, sorry, back in 2019. And it turned out that timing and match were right for both the company and me. So yes, I shifted from the water business, from ballast water treatment, that side of business, into wind. And that happened in 2019. So it was an opportunity that occurred, and we grabbed it together.
Those water to air movement.
Yes, water to air. Yes,
and I believe your past was fire. Yeah, with the oil tankers and everything else. Interesting.
Been there, done.
And actually, I didn't put this. I don't often ask this, but you came into this business literally on the cusp of the COVID situation happening.
Yes.
And we don't, in these interviews, I haven't really talked about the COVID impact. But you must have seen, you're coming into a new segment, lots of potential, and then COVID. What was your impression on that? Just very quickly.
I think we didn't in the beginning, back in early 2020, when the whole thing started really rolling. We didn't see the magnitude or the effect of it. I don't think anyone did. I think we've done very, very well. So throughout the period of time, we've hired more or less 10 new people coming on board. Unfortunately, some of them I haven't met them in person yet.
Right.
We are, as many other companies, operating and working from home. And it is actually with use of technology and discipline and the will to make this happen, because that is what we have in this company here. We are commercializing the business, and we are executing on a 5-year business strategy plan that was implemented in early 2020. So consequently, we know what we're going to do, and we know the forward. So I mean, we would like to have the social life of being in the office. We're missing that, and we hope we soon can come back. Having that said, we are progressing according to plan and schedule on commercializing the business.
I think everybody would probably echo exactly that sentiment. It would be lovely to meet the people you're hiring. And that was a question. That was another question I had. Are you hiring at the moment?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are hiring right now. We are hiring within sales. We are hiring within engineering. Within project management, but also in production. So at different locations, different areas. So watch out. And we're hiring at different levels as well. More senior people, but also we were very pleased to take very young people on board as well. I mean, even graduates or interns as well. We do that. Actually, we do have interns as well. We support that. So we see that as a benefit, and it gives it's a give and take, and it definitely good for both parties. So yes, we are hiring.
That's excellent, because there aren't that many companies that are hiring out there at the moment. So I think that's another reflection of where we're going.
I can only encourage watch out and keep an eye open, follow our websites, and look what the recruiters have to offer. So yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay. Great. This is a question I ask every interviewee who are technical or technology providers. Have you calculated the carbon footprint of your system?
Good question, and the answer to that is yes. That is currently being assessed as we are launching our new product, our new scalable product design. This is being assessed and being done by use of our supply chain. So this is an activity, and that's a topic that we are addressing. So the answer is yes, it's an ongoing thing. Have we done it as of today? No, we haven't. Is it ongoing? Yes, it is.
And I'm hearing that quite a lot. It's either just been completed or it's underway. So that's excellent to hear. Yeah. Excellent to hear. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of kind of really interview questions. What's the most difficult question that you've been asked about your system in the past?
I think that is to answer exactly that question that you're raising here, because I don't think that I can pinpoint one specific question. We have been so fortunate or I have personally been so fortunate to work with the wind industry here and being part of this here. So I think there has been great opportunities, great challenges, but there is actually not a single one that has either taken us where we have to make a decision for setting us back or making boost. So actually there is not a single one, Gavin, here. There is not.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I'm going to just interject there a second. Is that actually I'm seeing this segment is maturing. Yes. A lot of the technical questions that you would have been asked back in 2016, 2017, pretty much are getting answered now. You know, all of the whole regs issues, stability issues. So I think that the market, along with the technology providers, are, you know, kind of maturing. So we're kind of answering each other's questions now. A lot of this stuff is being put to bed. The biggest question I now get asked is how much does it cost? That's always a nice question to be asked, because then you already know that you've answered virtually all of the issues. So okay, last question. I know, actually, you've already answered the expansion plans. I noticed that you are in your slides you were focused on the bulkers and the tankers, and that's completely understandable with the amount of deck space that they have. What other markets, what other segments are you identifying for rotors in particular?
There are, of course, many other vessel segments and types that are very well suited for the uptake of wind technology, and in our case, rotor sails. Of course, I have to say we are focusing on the low-hanging fruits right now. We are, but we see an increasing demand actually within segments of container ships, both feeder but also larger liner. Needless to say, it's a little bit more challenging as compared to a plain flat deck space as we see on some of the tankers, or even some of the bulkers. So it's a different setting, it's a different approach, etc. So, however, this is something that we, and I assume the rest of the industry, will pay close attention to, because the RFQs received and the interest received in that segment is increasing. And right now, for these type of vessels, needless to say, there is limited deck space to fit rotors or any other technology, but this is one of them. We have a lot of we're doing a lot of fuel saving assessments. This is what we do towards the clients, help them by doing fuel saving assessments, configurations that we're putting forward, assessing how could the performance be of different configurations on different ships. We also do that a lot in ro-ro ships, different type of ferries, passenger ships, etc., etc. But again, I have to go back and say, mid to large size bulkers and tankers, as of today, is dominating the demand for rotors.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you very much for answering the sort of quick fire ones. I hope you didn't put you on the spot too much there.
No. That's okay.
But really fascinating. And as I said, what I'd love to do is have, you know, you guys come back maybe in 6 to 12 months, you know, with updates, but telling us how things are developing. And I think 2022 is going to be a really fascinating year. I think we're going to see a hell of a lot coming through.
I fully agree.
Yeah, and I'm going to hand it over to you just for a 1 minute kind of a roundup or a takeaway for the audience. So I'm going to hand that over to you. Kim, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Gavin. So in conclusion, Anemoi is currently scaling up production and partnerships in order to support and meet the demand that we see for rotor sails. The rollout of production is currently ongoing. So we expect to be able to deliver rotor sails projects real life as of 2022. Integrated solutions for a wide range of vessels is currently being developed as the presented JDP projects throughout 2021, thereby breaking down the barriers that may be in the market for the technology. We are hiring top talents within areas of sales, engineering, again, project management and production, and doubling headcount by end of year. And all in all, I think timing is right for the rotor sail technology. So all in all, it's looking bright for the future of Anemoi and the sector in general.
Thank you very much, Kim. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk with us.
Yes, of course, always.
And I'm sure that you'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions that come through from the listeners or from watchers.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and of course, I'm always here. You'll see my email come up at the end of this as well. So I'm more than happy to answer questions relating to the sort of wider wind propulsion sector as well. But thank you very much, Kim, and thank you to the audience for joining us and listening to The Wind. We will have another interview next week, and everybody please stay safe, stay well, and fair winds to you all. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.